Did that happen?
I don't think so.
Oh, shit.
If you say it did, it happen. How's that?
I believe that each and every one of us has the power within ourselves to create the life that we really want. And I want to help give you the tools to make that happen. I'm Danica Patrick, and I'm pretty intense.
Welcome to the Pretty Intense podcast. Today we're talking to my dad, TJ Patrick. And I just thought it would be really interesting to sit down and kind of grill my dad. I don't know. Does anyone really sit down and grill your dad about like deep subjects and really dive into the psyche and ask questions, think about questions that you've never asked before because you just take them for granted because it's your dad. Well, I did. So we talked about all kinds of things and talked about childhood. He told me the true story of how we started racing, which is different than mine, and I'm super bummed about it. But hey, truth is truth. So we had fun, and it was nice to hear stories that even I've never heard. So please enjoy. Dad, welcome to the Pretty Intense podcast. Thank you.
Thanks for inviting me.
Were you surprised that I asked you?
Yeah, a little bit.
Why?
I don't know. You kind of know everything about me already, so it's like, what more can you need to learn?
Oh, we'll get there. Dad. Don't you worry about that. You know I'm a crazy kooky hippie. I'm going to go deep on you.
Well, don't ask questions you're not going to want to hear the answer to then.
Well, we're gonna get to those emotions that are in there. There's a lot of them that sit on the top, right? Like you and I both. We both cry really easily. I feel like.
You trying to be Barbara Walters or what?
Yes.
You gonna get the Barbara moment?
With brown hair. But, I think that's, as a daughter and a father, like you don't really talk about like, well, how does that make you feel? But we're going to do that today a little bit.
All right.
Let's see how it goes. So what was I like as a kid? Was I one of those ones that made you not want to have another one?
No,
I mean, obviously I have a sister, but
I don't think so. As you know, I wasn't around as much as Mom. I was around Sunday mornings, maybe, because I worked all the time. So I didn't get to see you every day. Mm-hmm. I got to know you more after we started racing rather than before.
Well, that was obviously why we did it.
Exactly.
Which we're going to go over that story because I want to make sure it was right because I've been asked a million times, how'd you start racing? And of course I tell the pontoon boat story.
Yeah.
And so you're going to tell it to see what the difference is. But okay, well that makes me think of another question is like, did you really, if you weren't even there, were you like surprised to have kids so young or was that the plan?
No, that was the plan all along, to have kids young. I think the plan was we weren't going to start a business.
Just married.
Yeah, we were just married, but I went to work for somebody, and then when you guys were probably 3 or 4, I decided to start a business from scratch.
Yeah, I know.
So that wasn't planned.
Yeah.
We just, it's one of those things where I think I can do it better. So that's what we did, and to do it better, I had to spend a lot of time there.
Yeah. Well, I know that business started in our garage.
Yeah, it did.
I remember, yes, because my bicycle had nowhere to be. But so you and Mom married in 1980. You just had your 39th wedding anniversary.
Yep.
You guys were born in 58 and 59, so you guys got married, you were like 21, 22?
21, 22, yeah.
And so you thought, let's have kids right away. I'm 37, so I'm trying to wrap my noggin around this.
Well, that's what people did. You had kids.
Why do you think they did it? Why is it like because you really, really wanted to, or is that just the norm?
Yeah,
was that just the norm?
No, it's because we wanted to.
Yeah.
What else you gonna do?
Well, I don't know. There's all kinds of stuff you could do.
A lot of people choose to have them later. We chose to have them earlier.
But not back then. Back then, people had kids younger.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Well, I feel like if you weren't going to have kids like earlier or later, right?
Play early or play late.
Right, because you guys are 60 now-ish, and you guys are still, you guys just went on a trip to Singapore, and you've been to Greece, and you went to Italy, and you're now taking the time to do the big trips, which I'm doing right now.
Right.
So I kind of am for that theory of have them really young or a little older.
Because you're broke then anyway.
So why does that logic work?
Well, you got nothing else to do but raise kids. I mean, so if you have kids when you're later and you seem to have a little bit more money, you can't travel because you got kids. You know, so I don't know. I think I want to be, if I had, I felt like I was a kid with you guys. I mean, we did things like kids did.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I wouldn't want to be a father being right now and having a 8 or 10-year-old kid. Little bastards wear you out.
I know you and Mom, well, mostly Mom watches Brooke, my sister's little kids who are 3 and 5.
Yeah.
And 2 days in a row is a lot.
That's exhausting.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't want to do it when I'm older.
Yeah. But I think I look at like 21 and I'm like, oh my gosh, you were a kid. I think of all the dumb things that I did at 21 or the mistakes that I made or the life changes that have happened since I've been 21. I mean.
Well, you're still going to do dumb stuff even when you get old.
Do you?
Yeah.
You just have to wake up in the morning?
Yep. It's not so dumb. You just do it.
You just don't care anymore?
Just don't care anymore.
Is that it?
That's it.
A whole lot of who gives a shit? Mm-hmm. Did you give a shit when you were 21?
Yeah, I did. You don't want to screw up, but you do it just out of doing things. I mean, that's what life's all about, ain't it? You learn from mistakes.
So do you feel like you missed out on stuff then, having kids and getting married so young?
No, not a bit.
No.
I wouldn't change anything.
Did your parents have you and Randy when you guys were really young?
Yep.
Or when they were really young?
Yep.
Same age?
My mom was born in 42 and she had me in 59. 17.
Oh, God. Yeah, you guys were really mature then.
Mm-hmm.
And married.
Right.
She probably wasn't married, or was she at 17?
Yeah. To my dad, yeah.
Is that legal?
Back then in the 50s it must have been.
Oh my gosh. All right. So, all right, you didn't feel like you missed out on anything. You kind of still got to be a kid. Mm-hmm. Okay. Well, tell the pontoon boat story. So everybody asks me, they're like, how did you start out in racing? And I always tell them my version of it, which it's better if you tell the version and I'll tell you if it was any different from what I say. But it's a kind of a fun serendipitous story.
I'm trying to recall it all exactly. It'll be close. Basically, I was helping a buddy of mine race cars because I had race cars, dirt midgets, and I couldn't afford it anymore. So I helped a good friend of mine, Joe Corrigan. And one week he got really busted up, and he probably shouldn't race again. He got all tore up. So
it was the one where his eyes were black, blood. Like,
yeah, he lacerated.
Face was black and blue.
Yeah, lacerated his kidney and all kinds of stuff. Pancreas didn't work. So I said, Joe, why don't we just buy a pontoon boat rather than going racing every weekend? I'm thinking, we'll just cruise around and drink beer on a boat.
That's a good idea.
Sounds like it.
It's a lot of fun. Oh,
so we looked at boats and it didn't happen. And so it's like to stay busy in the weekends, what I did, and we decided, hey, let's try go-karts because the one babysitter was racing.
Mm-hmm. Teresa.
Yeah. Teresa Milan.
Teresa Milan, yeah. And Brooke went to school. Brooke was in the same grade as Teresa's sister?
Younger sister.
Can't remember her name, but yeah, and they lived in the neighborhood.
Right.
Okay.
So they raced go-karts, and I asked, and Brooke says, because she was, she slept with the Joe Corrigan shirt and all that, and she goes, I want to race. Uh-huh. So we said, all right, let's try go-karts. I'll take one day off a week and Sundays, and we'll go racing go-karts. Who
is the braver of the two of us growing up, Brooke or me?
Good question.
Good.
I don't know. I don't know if there's a brave difference.
Really?
You were both very repetitive. You wore the same clothes, the same shirt, the same dress. You wore a dress every day.
Mm-hmm. I'm girly. That's what I tell people about me. They're like, what do you think would surprise me about you that I don't know? And I'm like, that I'm kind of girly.
Yeah. Brooke was probably more the tomboy.
Okay. Because I don't feel very brave, but yet Brooke wanted to race, and I just didn't want to get left out. That's how I remember it.
Yeah, you said you'd try it.
I said I'd try it.
You'd say you'd try it.
Yeah.
So then, so we bought 2 go-karts, and I tried.
Well, that's a similar story. I mean, my story was that you wanted to. So my story was that you wanted to spend more time with Brooke and I because you worked, so you were going to get a pontoon boat, but instead, It was a little less about Joe Corrigan, a little bit more about Brooke and I and the love.
Yeah.
But, it's okay. It's probably part of the story.
Yeah.
And then instead of, so the pontoon boat story, we didn't buy a pontoon boat. Why did we buy go-karts, Dad?
So I could take
By we, I mean you.
So you can take one day off a week and spend with the kids.
No, why? We didn't buy a pontoon boat.
No, we didn't.
Why?
Probably didn't know enough about them, or
This is a critical part of the story that I tell everyone.
I don't think I looked that hard. To be honest, I thought it was an idea.
You're crushing the story, Dad.
Huh?
Well, here's the story. Let me tell you how you need to tell it moving forward, because it's better. That you called somebody about a pontoon boat, and they never called back.
Okay.
Did that happen?
I don't think so.
Oh, shit.
If you say it did, it happen. How's that?
I can tell why you've been married for almost 40 years.
Yeah.
Good job.
If I had a white flag, I'd be throwing it up in the air like a bullshit flag, too.
So, no, you didn't ever call to buy one?
I don't know. I don't remember doing so. I may have. I don't know. I'm old.
Did Mom?
Mom
She
wouldn't
was
have
the
known.
bookkeeper.
She wouldn't have called on it.
You're right. Mom's not very confrontational. She wouldn't have wanted to make that phone call.
So
Unless it was about getting paid. She calls about that,
yeah.
being the accountant that she is. So that's an interesting story, too. You scooped Mom up from northern Minnesota.
Mm-hmm.
She lived, like, on the border of Canada and
Yep.
Minnesota. And she was going to be an accountant. And
Yeah,
then
she was going to school
And then
for
you,
it.
what's the word? You did what? You saved her?
I saved her, yeah.
Because you got her out of northern Minnesota.
I tell her that all the time. I saved her.
Okay. How did you and Mom meet?
It was a blind date, and she was blind. We got set up on
Brooke
a blind
got
date.
your humor. I got Mom's.
I don't know about that.
Brooke's so funny. I laugh so much. Okay, so you met on a blind date. Set up by the delightful Sue Decker.
Yep.
Who was in, she didn't race though.
Yeah, she raced.
Sue raced.
Mom
okay.
used to work on Sue's snowmobile.
Okay. And my middle name is Sue because Sue set you guys up on the blind date.
Correct. Yep. You got that right.
And Sue's still around.
Still, oh yeah.
I see Sue more than I ever used to.
Exactly.
And I tell everyone that story. And luckily that one's accurate.
And how ironic, there's no bigger Packer fan in the world than Sue Decker.
Oh my God. Right when that happened, I'm like, geez, just could have been any other team. Like we grew up on the border and you were a Cradle Bears fan. And I'm like, geez, this is just can't.
This girl paints her fingernails green, everything.
Oh, I know.
All of her cars are green.
I know. Well,
She probably bleeds green.
They're a fun team to watch. Anyway, okay, so we started racing go-karts and, like we were gone a ton. And you had your own business. So what year, do you remember we started racing in 91, but the business that you started on your own was what year?
87.
87. It started in the garage at the house.
11/1/87.
You're a numbers guy. I'm not a numbers guy. So in 87, it started in the garage. And then when did you buy the shop? Or when did you start renting space in the shop to work out of a real facility?
Probably April, May.
Of 91? Like the year we started racing
92.
go-karts? Okay.
I mean,
so right around the same time.
right.
So not very far off.
Not very far off. No.
So you were like just getting out of like broke land, right?
Well, we started on hardly nothing. It was sink or swim.
One like money reference I have from back in those days of like 1980 to now 2019. A couple of years ago, I bought a picnic table at Home Depot, and it was $100. And I remember you said that you and Mom spent your last $100 on a picnic table
For the first house.
And so how about that? Everybody,
There
let's
you
give
go.
a hand to the market for keeping picnic tables at $100.
Yep.
Right?
Well, we couldn't. My grandpa had to buy me a lawnmower because we didn't have enough money left to buy a lawnmower to cut the grass.
Yeah, and so if you don't have enough money for a lawnmower, that means you ain't got enough money for a lawn man
Nope.
or woman.
Nope.
Lawn person. What can we even say these days?
It's kind of enjoyable doing it anyway.
Yeah, I mowed the grass once. It was fine. Mm-hmm. I did it for a workout, though. I think I ran it. I literally ran the push mower just so that I could get a workout.
Yard probably looked like shit.
Probably. The lines weren't straight enough.
No, we're straight now.
Okay, so, all right. So, well, we raced a lot, right? And how did you even have enough money to buy go-karts? You worked a ton. That's what I remember. I remember you worked a lot. And so maybe I feel like I got my hard work, determination, perseverance gene from you to like think big and just believe that anything's possible and everything's possible. And, but it doesn't mean that there isn't hard work in there, right? Like it just makes the hard work not feel so big of a deal, right? It makes it not feel so hard and so exhausting because you have a goal, and then doing the work, air quotes, is just part of getting to the end product, which was, if you're running a glass business like you were, it probably wasn't because you loved being outside. You probably just enjoyed, semi-enjoyed the job, but you want to make money.
That's what I knew.
And it's what you knew.
Mm-hmm. My parents had a glass company, so that's why I started it, because I knew a little bit about it and more than most people. And yeah, we worked a lot of hours. Yeah, it was, a couple employees is all. And, I had no fabricator. I had to build and fab and bid and measure. And yeah, there were probably 6-7 years where it was 17, 15, 17, 18 hours a day, every day.
I remember being a kid up in the loft.
Office.
The office.
Office.
So it was a big square. Just
it was above the. We had a 3,000 square foot building, and the office area might have been 800 square feet, and above the office is
That's ambitious. It was smaller than that, but it was above that because I saw a picture recently, and Brooke and I were both like, we remember it being giant. That thing was a peephole. Like that was just like, it was like a toilet, a bathroom.
How crazy was that? There was no railing, no nothing.
Oh no. So anyway, it's 12 feet up in the air is just the top of it because it's a giant warehouse. And so Brooke and I would go up there and we'd call it our office because below it was your office.
Correct.
And that was the birth of me wanting to be a secretary when I grew up, because we got like calendars and we had a phone with
papers,
no cord
phone,
and paper. We'd pretend like we were playing secretary, and I thought it was the coolest thing ever.
For hours.
Yeah,
every night.
And we'd have sleeping bags up there
because we'd work till
like 2 a.m. or something.
Whatever it took.
And so, who taught you to give a shit like that? Like, who taught you to either work hard or care enough to work till 2 a.m.? Like, people just don't do that. I don't do that. I don't work till 2 a.m.
I think that it boils down to, it's pretty simple. It's just fear of failure. I mean, yeah, it could have been easy to go home early and, oh, shit, it didn't work out. No, I wasn't going to let it fail.
Yeah, well, who taught you that, though?
I don't know if anybody taught me that.
I mean, I believe in the whole nature and nurture thing, but on some level, you had to have seen someone.
Not really. Not that I know of.
Total self-starter?
Yeah, even when I raced snowmobiles or did whatever, it was like you work as hard as you had to. You did what it takes. That's... you get out of it what you put into it.
Yeah.
It would have been easy to quit everything halfway done and you get half-assed results. So,
would you have just made less money if you wouldn't have done more, or would you have not been able to keep the business open?
I don't think we would have kept the business open because I thrived on my business with service, because service has kind of gone out the window. I made sure I give everybody service. I was going to be there say they'd be there Monday, I'd be there Monday.
Mm-hmm. In construction, you're an angel then, because that doesn't happen.
That's right. So when they call you and want a job done, they don't care if you're a little bit higher if they know you're going to get the job done.
Mm-hmm. Oh, for sure.
That was how I did my business. Mm-hmm. And to do that, you just had to work more.
Yeah.
Which means you end up getting more work, which means you made a little bit more money. And,
Well, people are usually, if they can, which, if they're doing a big business, if they're doing a transaction like that, people will pay a premium to know they're going to get what they want.
I just don't
to get it on time and to get it done well.
I had people. I started a couple other businesses. Had people work for me in other businesses, and they work like 8-9 hours a day. And I look at them going, "Dude, you can't do that and run a business."
It's a full day, Dad.
No,
That's
it's not.
Day.
No, it's not.
Well, it's a full day for a regular person. Were they an investor? Did they own part of the company, or were they just getting paid salary? Were they salaried?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Well, there's your problem. You have to have equity, right? I mean, I think that's how I operate in my businesses. Is I try and, yes, I have employees, yes, but in the things moving forward, a lot of the stuff I've done with structure is like, I'm in, you're in. Like, I want you to make more money if I do, because that is the incentive. Like, I want people around me that want to do the job. So did you ever think that, like, I mean...
Oh, yeah, that wasn't the issue. It was just lack of motivation, self-motivation, I think. It was a 50-50 deal. He was going to make 50% of the profit. I put all the money in.
Oh, yeah. So more work did mean more money then.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh. I mean, he wouldn't even work weekends.
Lazy then.
Yeah, he wouldn't even work weekends. It's like, man, that's the time when you make hay. You get ahead of the game.
Yeah. Yeah. That's it. Write that down, everybody. That's when you get ahead of the game and make hay. Mm-hmm. When you're working when other people don't. Mm-hmm. I agree. I mean, that's what I remember is you working so much. So now, I come back to this sort of concept or question, but, having done all that, right? Like, you work a lot, then we started racing. So on your make hay, we're racing now. So not only are you not making money, but now you're spending money. And you're not doing anything else. Now, I mean, I know you and Mom are like homebodies. It's not like you're party animals. And I mean, I know that when I was a kid and I saw you drink a beer every now and again at like a family function, like Christmas or something, I'm like, do you remember? I'd be like, Dad, you're wrecking your liver.
Yeah. You did that a lot. You're wrecking your liver.
You're wrecking your liver. I don't even know what that meant. But you and Mom, like, you didn't go out, like, you didn't drink, you didn't, you weren't, I mean, other than buying your Pantera and your Harley because you had 2 midlife crises, you guys were pretty, like,
normal.
Yeah. Well, I mean, those aren't normal, but you're pretty, you're at home. You're kind of homebodies. So, but did you feel like there was things that you wish you could have done? Like, for instance, I can never make it to a farmer's market. I could never make it to concerts. I knew I would pretty much never make it to anyone's wedding because they were always on the weekends. Like, there was so much stuff that, I mean, when I was racing, I didn't go to prom. I never went to prom. I went to one homecoming because, the idiot on the next one didn't take me at all, which you were really pissed about. But I didn't do a lot of things. Now, were they sacrifices? They sure didn't feel like it at the time.
Right.
But when I look back, there was a lot that I didn't do that most people do experience. So do you feel like, you're living some of those days now, or do you feel like I wish I had a little bit more time when I was younger to be 30?
No. I'm happy where I'm at now. I'm in good health. I'm 60 and I can come and do as I want. Back then, you didn't think about it. It was like work or racing. That's what we did. We go racing on the weekends. I'd come back and, we drive all night, get home at 4 in the morning. I'd be to work at 6, get my guys off. And you just run off adrenaline for a long time. I remember one time, though, in like 91, I got really sick. It was like, I think my body shut down.
Oh, my God.
It parked it. My body just went, you need a break. And I was sick for like 2-3 months.
Yeah. You didn't work for most of it.
I couldn't work. I couldn't move. I was really, it scared me. And I think that's how people get when your body just shuts down and goes, you need a break. And you work till you find that, and then you go back at it. You recharge.
You don't. No, people don't. They do not work till they find that.
Wait, how do you know where it's at then?
Nobody tries to find that.
Nobody tries to.
They might try and find it from the party perspective, but they don't try and find it from the work perspective.
Well, you just do what you have to do.
I think it can manifest in people, right? Yeah. I think that, you ignore your body long enough and things things can be let go long enough to be a problem. Or I also think that, you work long enough and it creates stress. And while it's part of the job.
Yeah, it could have been stress.
Stress is a killer. Just so cliche here. But I mean, that's where, you create dis-ease in the body through abnormalities of cell formations and you create cancer. Like you create a disease in the body. And so I do think that, you can get shut down in a way. But I mean, that was a unique sickness for you to be on you were on the, what was that called? The chair with the lever?
No, remember I was on the magic couch.
Yeah, but there was also the chair with the lever to put the legs up that was brown.
Like the one over there?
It was like a velvet one. Yeah, that one's electric because you're old now and you have a button. Yeah. But this one was a lever. What do they call it? Like a love seat or a
lounge chair?
You were in that damn lounge chair forever. You had the bucket next to you for puking. and you were very sick.
Yep. I cough up a lot of shit.
Well, what were you thinking about? I mean, like at that point in time, you had to be going, shit.
I need to get better quick.
Is that really what you thought?
Yeah.
You didn't have any big life perspective?
Nope.
For being a big thinker, you're not really a deep thinker, Dad.
I don't deep think. Whatever comes to my mind, I think about. I don't have
that's
to
also
think.
that's not deep.
I'm not deep.
You don't contemplate the fabric of our reality? I mean, that's not something that you do?
No.
I do every day.
I know. Yeah, you get a little out there.
Only more and more all the time.
Yeah, you do. I mean, it's just the simple. If there's an answer to it, you think about it and you do it and move on to the next thing. I don't have to contemplate, or if I'm going to go buy something, I don't research for 2 weeks to find out which one's cheaper, where it's at, or which one's better. I just go buy it.
I am a little like that, too. I call it diminishing returns on my investment of time. There's a certain preliminary amount of something that you can do to prepare, but the rest of it is like diminishing returns on my investment of time.
And usually I like to buy what's usually the best because I only want to buy it once. I remember my dad telling me that.
Oh, really?
Yeah. He says, just rather than buying the cheapest thing out there, you end up buying it twice. It costs you more money. Just buy the best one time.
Huh. What was your dad like? I obviously didn't know him. He died. He died when Brooke was born, right?
No, when you were born.
Me. Okay.
Yep. He died in 83.
Okay, so I was 1-ish.
My dad was your typical 50s Fonzius type with the hair combed back with the comb in his pocket. And
did he legitimately have a comb in his pocket?
all the time. And he used the Brill cream and all that. Oh, yeah, I was back there, yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, that's a description. We've got a visual now. What was he like?
I think my dad was very intelligent. I think he was smart, but unfortunately, alcohol got the best of him.
Yeah.
And he drank too much and cut his life short.
Yeah. Do you think that's why you don't drink as much?
Yeah, I think it's part of it. The other part is I just don't have time I don't mind a beer here or there, but I just don't go out to get loaded, Yeah. Just never done that.
Yeah. Well, you told me a story, way back in the day of, you didn't want him to come to your races drunk, and he would.
Yeah.
Right.
He always had a flask. He had it in his morning coffee. He put some in it every day. That's how bad it got. So at the races,
What'd your mom say?
What was she gonna say? I don't know.
I mean, was that like the era where mom can't say anything,
right,
or did she just not care?
No, she cared.
I mean, because I remember Grandma drinking Bloody Marys all the time too.
The same thing. Yeah, it was.
So
just
she was there too.
Kind of an era. Yeah.
So they were cut from the same. They were
similar. Yeah.
They were the like frequencies of each other.
Oh yeah, back in the 50s, they all smoked. I mean, they were smoking 2-3 packs a day, which is not the norm anymore, but that's what it was back then.
Well, I mean, your dad died of lung cancer when he was
44.
44, and your mom died of partial complications from that.
COPD.
And all kinds of things. She had a lot wrong with her when she was 61. Right?
Yep.
Like, it blows my mind. I know I'm kind of bouncing all over the place, but it blows my mind to think about, like, if, you losing your dad when he was 44 and you were 16? Or how old were you?
Yeah. He died in 82, so I'd have been 23.
Oh, yeah. I was thinking about both you and Mom have lost your dads when you were teenagers, but you were I was 1, so. Man. That'd be crazy. Was it hard or was it not? I mean, like,
Nope.
Did you resent him so much that it didn't?
I didn't resent him. Did I miss him time to time? Yeah. I mean, when he was sober, he was a great guy.
Well, what was he like then? Tell me about, like, the best version.
I think he was very intelligent. He thought a lot like, I think like he does, I should say. Not like.
Well, that's kind of why I'm asking, is because, look, I'm like you. I know that. And I'm trying to figure out how you got to be you, because that's how I got to be like I am.
Yeah, my dad was very creative. I think I wouldn't call him artsy, but he was very creative thinking. He thought big too.
Well, he obviously started Patrick last,
Well,
right?
my grandpa did that. And he bought it for my grandpa.
Okay. Well, there you go. The lineage of big thinkers and starting businesses was a long time ago.
And then, he just, a beer at lunch turned into beer all afternoon, and then was,
Stop. We're getting to the best version of Dad.
Yeah. Best version?
Best version.
I think a lot of it was he was proud of me because when we did race, we always did good. So he could walk around with his chest out and stuff like I did, So he was always proud of me. He was always proud of Randy, so.
Well, that's because something you did.
Yeah. But he opened the door for you. He took us racing.
Right. I'm wondering personality-wise, him being boastful because you did well is not a great personality trait. Him, taking you and, doing something fun with you on your own and telling you he's proud of you.
And we go ice fishing when we were younger and stuff like that. He'd take me with the guys and stuff. But, we go over to Bagley, Wisconsin ice fishing or, 6-8 guys in the car. And I was the beer opener.
There's a lot of beer in these stories.
A lot of beer.
A lot of beer.
Drinking and beer.
What kind of beer did he drink?
My dad drank hams. Or red or Paps, either one.
PBR me, baby.
Mm-hmm.
Right? What
ASAP.
Apparently that was really, they call TV or advertisements, they call it programming because that's what it's doing to you, right? The TV's telling you need this. Oh my God, I need that. Or, the advertisement you see, PBR me, baby, ASAP. I need a beer as soon as possible. That programming was highly effective.
It still works.
PBR is a funny thing at the bars that happens now. They're like, oh man, it's PBR night, $2 PBRs. Is that what they sell it for anymore? On a cheap
I
night?
don't. Then they even come up with one that was red, white, and blue, which was cheaper.
Oh wow.
But that'll give you a headache.
So do you look back at your dad and think that you're grateful for him, or do you look back and think maybe more than anything that he taught you a lot through his faults? Or how do you look back?
When I think of my dad, I think of the Kansas song. He had the world in his hands, and he messed it up. And he was a smart man. He had a business, but he chose to do alcohol more than he chose to work.
And I'm going to guess that you never found out why he did that.
No.
Do you wish you knew? Because it's all neurological, right? It comes down to a coping mechanism.
Again, I'm not that deep a thinker. I didn't ask him. I didn't ask him. I didn't say, Dad, why are you doing this?
Yeah.
They just do it.
Yeah. Well, the problem with those kinds of scenarios is then it becomes then the projection happens onto, well, they're doing it because they don't want to be with me, right? That's kind of maybe some of the feeling on the other side of it is I'm not enough. I'm not enough to show up sober to my race.
I think you're thinking too deep about it.
Stop clipping my wings.
I think he liked his beer and he liked hanging out at the bars and he liked drinking. That's what they did in the 50s, 60s. They didn't know any different. That's what they did. There's no explanation.
Yeah, but when your son asks you to show up to a race sober and you can't, then that's a problem.
He had a
mental problem.
No, he had a disease, which was alcoholism.
From the brain.
And it could be.
The brain says you need it because it's created pathways that say, this is what you do every day. And he reaffirmed it every single day. It was what he did. And then you unfortunately have the physical side effects probably from withdrawal, which I don't know anything about. I'm guessing that any kind of addiction has some kind of penalty on the other side. If you feel sick the next day, they call it have the hair of the dog. I don't know if that's just how it has to go. If you stop, then you feel bad. I don't really know, but there are physical effects, of course, too. But that would be interesting to know because I bet that would. I don't know. I would.
And it gets back to one of those things you'll never know.
I know. You always tell me that. You're like, don't try and figure things out that you'll never know.
It just drives you nuts, doesn't it?
There's so many things that I wonder about that I'm never going to know until I die.
You're never going to know. No. So it's I blow it off. I'm not going to know why I did.
Do we live in a holographic universe? I don't know, but I won't know until I die.
Yeah, exactly. It doesn't matter.
You don't care.
Doesn't matter.
I'm so curious, though. Oh, my gosh. Do you think sometimes when I talk like this, you're like, you're not my daughter?
Well, you're getting a little out there sometimes, but
Well, I think it's partly being creative, which is you tell me something that you are too. You're creative. I mean, how about this for creativity? You buying Brooke and Mom and I matching Christmas outfits every year.
Every year.
And then you find that, I think, how old was I when that ended? It was probably...
You guys are probably 15 maybe?
Yeah, because you decided that vests were a good idea one year. It was like pants and a button-down shirt and a vest and a hat. And I was like,
Yeah, you
Dad.
told me I fell off the train.
Yeah, I did. You fell off the train, Dad.
The fashion train.
It looked cool now. How long ago? It was
Exactly.
probably 30 years ago,
It
fashion
was easy.
comes around.
All right, it was easy. I could walk into one store and like one outfit and get all different sizes.
Because Mom is
Done.
so small.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mom could fit in. What store was that? You worked there.
Limited to.
Limited to.
TOO.
Yeah. You had a 30-day trial there?
I did. I worked at the Limited to for
Maybe 30 days.
for a winter. So because I'd come back
Oh.
from England, I'd gotten in trouble for going out too much. And so you're like, you're getting a job. And I'm like, okay.
And I remember you worked there because you wanted to save enough money to go on spring break.
Yeah.
And you saved all like $400.
It is a good way to learn how money goes really fast.
And you said, what am I going to do? I only got $400. I said, well, I keep working, I guess.
I worked there. And so I was a bad employee. I remember that there was two scenarios that I got written up for. One of them was someone came in asking for a certain lotion flavor or smell. And I said, let me come help you find that. And I looked for it, and she goes, well, I asked you because I thought you'd know. And then nobody ever remembers the first rude when they are rude to me because mine is like so inappropriate. And
Yeah, your fuse is pretty short.
I don't have one. It's like, oh shit, did I just say that? Whoops. So yeah, I think I snapped back at her and said like, well, I've only worked here for 2 days. So yeah, I have no idea where your lotion is. And I got written up for that. And then there was one other one where someone came to the checkout we sold these little mini garbage cans were an odd size. And she wanted a box for it for Christmas to wrap it. And I said to her, we don't have a box that size. And she said, well, if you sell it, you should have a box. And I said, well, ma'am, given the fact that it's the only thing that size in the entire store, it makes sense why we don't have a box. And I got written up for that too.
Yeah, you didn't last long.
Not the greatest of employees. I needed to start all my own businesses.
Yeah.
I needed to be my own boss.
Because you're fashionably late.
Why are you, so I got that entrepreneurial kind of like mindset like you did. So why can't you work for someone else?
Why can't I? Mm-hmm. Because I feel, first of all, I'm going to outwork them.
And then you won't be rewarded like they will because
Probably.
you're working for them. Mm-hmm. So if you're going to put the work in, you want the upside.
Yep. There's nobody
Are
going
you
to outwork me.
typecasting people that if they work for someone, they're lazy?
No.
No, I know that's not true.
No. It's just you asked me
People
personally.
are rewarded
You
for
asked me personally.
bonuses and raises and all kinds
I'm
of stuff.
competitive and even work. I mean, if somebody thinks they can work more than me, I'm going to work more. I'm going to work harder.
Yeah.
You know, it gets down to the competitiveness. You hate to lose at anything. Mm-hmm. Remember our Monopoly games?
Yeah. Family Monopoly night.
Never finished, did we?
Did you cheat?
I'm sure I could if I would.
See, that's the one thing about me, though, is I don't want to win by cheating, like card games and all that stuff. So what I tell somebody is if they're like holding their cards, and they're like this, and they lean over, or I can kind of see, I'll like quickly glance and look away, and I'll go, hi, I can see your cards, and I'm telling you, because if you give me another chance, I am going to look at them.
Well, I'll do that
Give
too.
me the chance to cheat.
I'll do that too.
Put it
But
in
if
my
I
face,
can,
but
if I can,
I don't want to.
take some money here or there. Or,
Oh, wait, wasn't that what your uncle, like Gramps used to do?
Gramps.
Put quarters underneath his beers?
Yeah.
So that when you guys played what was that game? Oh shit. Oh shit. And then when, you had to play with like 3 or 4 quarters,
yeah, you start with 4 and then you lose 4 and
and
you're
you
out.
still have 2 magically underneath your beer.
Yeah. Or we'd play cribbage and he would jump streets on me if I was ahead. I could never win in cribbage, so I'd jump streets to win.
That's just terrible cheating.
But you loved him, let him do it.
Paying attention. Mm-hmm.
But you got to do that in business too. I mean, any opportunity you can take advantage of, you do.
Yeah.
If somebody's going to let you, you take it. Don't you think?
Yeah. I mean, again, like I said, I was like, I don't want to cheat, but if you keep putting it in my face, I'm going to do it because that's what's there. Yeah. No, I'm a hard worker when I'm passionate about something. And I think that's something that I've found as I've gotten older too, is that, you know, the things that aren't as exciting to me or aren't fun or aren't really like soul fulfilling, and passions, I get bored and I don't want to do it. I don't want to do the work.
Yeah.
Like,
But when you go to the gym, you want to outwork everybody there, don't
well,
you?
sure. Or any of the other businesses that I've started where I'm like, I'm into it. I will work constantly. Like, I remember a couple of years ago, I was like launching the wine. I was writing the book. I was doing the website for the wine and for the book, and I was doing clothing line, and I was doing all these things. And I remember, like, once Christmas hit, it was like probably December 21st or 2nd or something, and all of a sudden, for the first time in months, I didn't have something I could be doing that was work. Like, literally at all moments of the day.
Felt good, didn't it?
You know, whether it was editing chapters, selecting photos, coming up with, you know, color concepts, or no matter what it was, or working out, like, I was always keeping busy. And so I have
Wasn't that fun?
in me. But I think that, it's fun when you enjoy it. And I think that's the problem, is that a lot of people don't do things that they enjoy.
Oh, that's their own fault.
Right. But, you know, it's a means to an end for them, and they don't believe that they can make it a different way, or there's not enough.
Not everybody can own and run a business.
Right. It's not in their personality.
It's not in their personality. It's not in their work ethic. It's not in their brains. It's not in their drive. There's a lot of things that it takes to run a business and own a business.
Well, what does it take, Dad? What does it take, Dad? You've started a bunch.
Well, first of all, you got to know about it. You have to love it. You have to be willing to work. And you have to be willing to accept defeat to make you better. I mean, not everything goes perfect.
Yeah.
I mean, to me, that's part of the fun of it, is something goes wrong, is trying to figure out how to fix it.
What was your biggest failure in business?
Good question. I don't know.
Think deep, Dad.
Thinking deep. Well, I think the drywall company I started, that was with the guy I gave him 50% to run. We had it for a couple of years, and he had more employees than I did, and did 1/3 of the volume. It was, he just kept hiring people to do the work.
Did you feel like you failed somehow?
No, it was because I tried lead by example and show him you need to work and get better people. And he was just one of those. He was a foreman, and I hired him from a foreman job to run it. And he had just got a divorce. He just got a divorce, living in his parents' basement. So he had nothing else to do.
There's nothing wrong with that. I did live with you guys in my
I'm just saying
mid-30s.
he had nothing else to do. So why wouldn't you work?
Dive in.
And that was probably my biggest failure. I mean, did I lose money? I didn't lose money, but I didn't make any either. What did you learn from that? Like, what happened that made you go, I ain't going to do that again? That I thought people would work as hard as I would. And that's probably the biggest thing, is find somebody to work as hard as I will. So that's why there's never be a partner. I won't have a partner.
I feel like I've learned that on some level, as far as I have a saying for something similar, that just because it's someone's job, don't expect them to do it well.
Yeah.
I think I went through my early life thinking I could do everything better than everyone. And then I went through a phase of my life where I would just trust that, oh, wow, they're a professional, let them do it. And then I had to come back around to just because it's someone's job doesn't mean they do it well. Some people
got to be pushed nonstop. It's just how it is. I mean, just you're dealing with everybody. You understand. So that's why, I'd never have another partner, or I won't have any more employees.
Yeah.
I'd just soon work 7 days a week, 12 hours a day anymore. I can't work 15, 16 anymore. I'm too old. I get too tired.
What's the funnest thing or things that you've been able to do now that, you're not working as much. I mean, you kind of are. I mean, you'll never not work. You have
Oh, yeah.
you have the carbon fiber
No,
business.
yeah.
You sort of are always going to keep busy on
Yeah.
some level. But what are some of the things that you do now that are super fun? And,
Well, every year me and Mom take a big vacation somewhere.
yeah, I'm
and I-
so proud of you for guys for
And
that.
I told her, I said, Mom doesn't like to spend the money. I said,
no, she's cheapskate.
she's cheap. So I said, we're taking a vacation every year. I don't care what it costs. We're going. And we've been
Yeah,
every year for the last 7 or 8 years. We've gone someplace big.
yeah. List them off. Where have you been?
Let's see, we did Venice and down through the Adriatic Sea, through Dubrovnik and all those, and Croatia, and then we've done the Greek Isles into Turkey, Ephesus. We've seen Ephesus. That was pretty cool. Venice was cool. Mm-hmm. We've done the Baltic Sea. We've done that was cold in the summer. Then we did Mediterranean, where we did Ibiza and all those fun places, and
You went to Amsterdam.
I went to Amsterdam.
Did you go to the coffee shops?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. We had no idea what we were doing.
Did you eat brownies?
Yeah.
It's so funny to talk to you about this stuff.
Oh, the funny part was, the funniest story was, it's one of our best friends. He's a Army Ranger. Mm-hmm. And he's never drank or smoked, ever. Ever. He's just straight-laced. So we were in Amsterdam, and I had 2 brownies. I was eating one, and he wanted to try one. So I gave him a little brownie. He goes, these aren't bad. Yeah. And I said, they got pot in him. He goes, I don't feel anything. And he ate the whole brownie.
How much are you supposed to eat?
Just a few bites.
Like a quarter of it?
He ate the whole brownie, so he was fried, and he's never been that way in his life. So we end up going to this. We were in Amsterdam. Went to an actual coffee shop, which is Starbucks, and he tried ordering Thai chai latte. He couldn't say that if he had to. None of us could.
You're not saying it right either.
Exactly. Imagine saying it after eating a full brownie.
Oh, man. That's funny. That's really funny.
Yeah.
Wow. Did Mom have one too?
She had a couple nibbles.
What's Mom like? Hi.
She hasn't. Never seen her hide.
What? She ate some brownie.
Just you don't turn into a different person.
You don't?
No. You don't start jumping around, jumping off roofs and laying on the ground and doing the worm and stuff like that. You just chill out.
All right. Well, that's good. I'm glad you guys relax and you see places. And
Yeah,
you
we
just
just
went to Singapore?
Thailand for 3 weeks.
Singapore, right?
Yeah, we ended up in Singapore. Yeah.
Yeah. You took the Orient Express. You said it sucked.
There's a reason there's so many murders on the Orient Express.
Why?
Because you're so bored you want to kill somebody.
Okay, that's not going to help with the Orient Express tourism. Then that's fine.
That's
Maybe
just
they
my
should
opinion.
shut it down.
That's my opinion.
Okay. Well,
When somebody has to tell me what to eat, when to eat, on a vacation, no.
and you're a really narrow eater. Like, you're a meat and potatoes guy. And I'm so proud of you because in the last year you started eating vegetables.
Yeah,
And
a little bit more.
This is a fact. Like, what you would only ever eat raw cauliflower and broccoli and carrots, or raw carrots, cauliflower and celery.
Yep.
And now you put 4 leaves of spinach in your smoothie in the morning.
We're up to 5 leaves now.
And I'm so proud of you.
Because if I do any more than that, it turns it green and it looks like shit.
That's actually what I made a smoothie, and I was like, man, I just want it to look pretty, so I didn't put any spinach in it. 'Cause
Exactly. When you
otherwise
put spinach in there, it
kinda
turns brown.
It
It's
looks like shit.
Looks like shit. Looks like you're eating shit.
Yeah, and we eat with our eyes because
Absolutely. So that's why
thoughts become things,
that's
and I
about
don't
it.
want to eat shit.
Yeah.
Maybe I need to put it in better cups that are camouflaged.
Why don't they make spinach that's red?
I'm sure they could.
Think about
It would
that
be
when you're a deep
genetically
thinker.
Modified. Mm-hmm. They might. I mean, maybe they can put like certain minerals into the dirt, and maybe it would do something different.
I got
to
you
it.
thinking now, don't I?
Yeah, I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna do like smoothie friendly colored spinach.
Dangling a carrot out there for you.
Yeah, that's a good idea. I'm gonna start a business.
There you go.
Such a business thinker. So what did you think about me retiring?
I knew it was time
Why?
because you weren't having any fun. It got to be more of a fight than it got to be having fun. And I try and tell people that racing isn't always fun. It's a lot of work, and it's hard to find people, and it's hard to trust people, and it's just a business. It's a really hard business. That's the bottom line.
Yeah.
Don't you think?
Well, there's just a lot more failure than success.
Yeah.
You know, the success is presumably like winning, right? But that's not going to happen very often.
No.
Like I described to people in NASCAR, like the best of the best that's had a phenomenal season out of 38 races will win 5.
Yeah.
You know? So, being 5 and 33, is that right? 5 and 33
15%, yeah.
is not
Batting 150
is not a good percentage, right?
No.
But that's how it is in racing from winning and losing perspective. So you have to find victories along the way that aren't victories and like they go to victory lane. So essentially there's a lot more failure than there is success. And I think that's hard to digest. Now, Tony Kanaan and I were joking about how we can blame the car, and that maybe is the best thing about racing is that you have something to blame, as opposed to so many other sports like stick and ball kind of sports where they're like, yeah, I just can't throw the ball that far. I guess that's just my arm. So you have things to blame, but on the other hand, if you're very talented, there are things that could be the problem that aren't you, and
most of the time, and probably is the car.
Well,
I mean,
yeah.
I tell people, all the drivers out there, either NASCAR or IndyCar, you give them the exact same car, they're all within a tenth or two talent-wise.
Yeah.
There's no reason that somebody's 2 seconds off the car isn't as good. Everybody that's in the Hall of Fame of any racing has been with the best team.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. And that's one of those things. The best also attracts the best, right?
Yeah.
So then the best teams get the best drivers, air
Get
quotes.
the best drivers,
get
yes.
the best, engineers, get the best pit
there may be
crews,
better drivers that never made it as far, and so
yeah.
right place, right time.
It is an interesting sport like that. And then sponsors, play another element too. It is an interesting
And
sport.
sponsors are, in racing, sponsorship's getting harder.
Yeah.
Nobody has the same car 2 weeks in a row.
Sometimes you do.
Not very often.
Yeah.
Anymore.
Yeah. So you knew it was time for me to be done.
Yep.
And what did you think I was going to do?
I think you've done about what I thought. You'd probably take a year off and travel and do nothing. I thought you'd do that.
I didn't do nothing, Dad. But yeah, I didn't do as much.
No. So, I mean, you didn't go forward with a few businesses. Yeah, you went and you got more involved in the winery. But the clothing line, you kind of set that in the back burner for a little bit, and you're back on it. And so, I mean, I knew you'd take a year off and just regroup, and I knew that would drive you nuts. And you're going, probably right now, you're chomping on the bit to go, I got to start doing something.
Well, I get bored, you know, and I think that was always something I felt like was healthy about racing too, was, I loved the off season because I wanted to get to the point where I was actually bored and ready to get back at it. So I think that balance is important. So I'm ready to get back at it. I've went on 8 vacations in 4 months or 3 months, and I'm not complaining, but it definitely meant that I was traveling a lot. So
yeah, I knew that. And there'll be a point where you wake up in the morning going, I got to do something.
Yeah, I do wake up and have those moments, right? Like I think I had one of those moments last year after sort of being away from, being done for a few months, and like Aaron had just signed his big contract, and I was kind of just like hanging out, and I remember just thinking to myself, I have to fucking do something with my life. And I'm not the kind of person that doesn't. Like, I mean, I have the winery, I have the book, I have I have other things that are going on. Like, I have things that can keep me busy, but I remember thinking to myself, and again, contrast and perspective is such an interesting thing, but I remember thinking, I'm like, oh my God, I need to accomplish something in my life. And, people might laugh at that kind of comment based on what I've done in my career, but that's how I feel. I'm like, I'm a motivated person to do great things.
And you need to do it 100% too. That's the key.
Well, yeah.
Well, I think that's where people, they dabble a little bit. They do a little bit. And they expect something to come of it, and it doesn't come.
Yeah.
You have to jump in with both feet in anything you do.
Well, yeah, but I think that, you do have to sort of feel into what's working for you and what's not. And if you keep hitting roadblocks with things, Like, maybe you didn't need to have the drywall business because, the glass business need more attention or something. I don't know. But, you have to look at those roadblocks as being, like traffic signs, right? Like, go this way, not that way. I think that's how I look at those
But
things.
you determine those when you get to it.
But you have to know you've done everything you can.
Yeah.
Like, you have to know you've tried really hard and go, you know what? I'm done hitting my head against the wall. I'm going to just say that this is not for me.
But it's
And
just like everything in life, everything changes, You just got to be able to adapt. I mean, back when I was growing up, Kmart was big. Now there's no more Kmart, All these companies get big and then somebody else gets bigger. I mean, who would have thought Walmart would be taken over, is smaller than Amazon?
Yeah. Well, at one point, yeah.
I mean, that happens in business all the time. Just when you get complacent and you think, all right, it's going good, somebody's going to come in and beat your ass.
Yeah.
So you got to stay on it. You have to adapt and change. I mean,
Yeah.
Same way with your winery. You'll find out you're going to start doing some other things. You'll probably buy another winery. Who knows?
I mean, there are things going on behind the scenes that
Yeah.
are that people don't know about yet, but it's one of them does pertain to wine, but
Yeah. So I mean, you can't be complacent. You know,
yeah,
you can't just put in your
Yeah.
time and expect it to go.
Yeah.
In anything.
Yeah.
Even in racing and in life. That's why I teach people when I was doing go-karts for kids. I said, this is a good life lesson, racing go-karts, because you get out what you put into it and you got to work hard. You can't just
and it's not always going to go well.
No. And you can't just throw money and expect it to happen.
Yeah.
It has to be heart, desire, and talent.
Was it hard? I know I'm kind of like, I feel like I'm flipping the script to the beginning, but was it hard to figure out how to raise Brooke and I? Like what to teach us, or what to put emphasis on, or was it difficult to, because I think about parenting and I think, how can you be disciplined enough with your kids that they don't get in trouble and get hurt or have something bad happen?
It's pretty easy.
But not be so wrangled that they, rebel.
Every parent's different, on their aspects of what they look at. I thought it was easy.
Yeah.
Because basically you do what you think is right. And everybody thinks what is right is different. How many times I tell you, you can't go out drinking. Because
you were hard on me.
Yeah. Because I knew in the long run, what was your first big sponsor? What'd they do? They went back and checked your record.
And what'd they find, Dad?
You just had speeding tickets.
That's right, up high, because speeding tickets qualify me for a job in a race car.
Yeah, but if you'd have got caught for something else, $1 million sponsors go away. I mean,
yeah.
You have to present yourself what you want to get to.
Well, and you lie too, because that's what I tell parents too, that they're like, how do I, they talk about their own kids, and I said, just put the fear of God in them, because that's what my dad did to me. He told me, if you get caught drinking and driving, you'll never race again if you don't have a license. If you do drugs and you get drug tested, you will never be able to race again.
It's true, though.
And you want to know what? I never got drug tested until I started racing Indy cars. And when as far as drinking goes, you don't want to drink and drive. That's a good goal. Mm-hmm. That's a good motto.
Or do drugs.
I mean, drugs lead to bad things too, when not done in moderation or with the right mindset. So yes, anyway, I those are good things, but you did lie on some level.
But no, I never lied.
Because I was like 15 and you told me like, don't do these things. They were never going to be part of my. You can race without a driver's license, Dad.
Can you get a FIA card?
I think so. You can. I know you can race without a license. People have had licenses revoked to be able to race.
I'm gonna call bullshit card, but.
And I didn't get drug tested for a long, long, long time.
What, are you saying you missed out on something?
You know what? There's time for everything, and so I'm not going to say that. Kind of like you with having kids really young. I'm not going to say that it's
being a parent's
been
very
a problem.
easy.
That's a bold statement.
I think it's very easy. You treat them with respect, and you treat them how you were brought up and how you were raised. You're going to do the same thing.
Well, then maybe. I mean, here's the thing, though. That's why I kept asking you about your parents and about your dad, is because, obviously, I'm a lot like you. And you're a lot like your parents. And your parents were a lot. So how did that happen? And I'm just wondering where it came from. And it's just interesting. I mean, that's the nature and nurture.
Yeah, but you can't say that because, there's no two kids are the same. Just like you and Brooke aren't the same. You're pretty close. But me and my brother aren't the same.
Yeah.
You know, we're polar opposites. I love him to death, but we're just polar opposites.
Yeah, you're different for sure.
So, I mean, I'm sure if he probably has no regrets in life. I'm sure he doesn't.
So, if I ever had kids, what would be your advice for me?
I'll tell you the same thing I told Brooke. Brooke struggled her first 3 or 4 months with the kids. She didn't know what to do. Mm-hmm. And I told her, I said, until you realize your life is no longer yours, that it's your kids, you'll struggle with it. You pretty much do everything for your kids once you have them.
Do you think that's healthy?
Yeah.
And you think that's... Mm-hmm. You think that's creating good balance?
Otherwise there's resentment against them. I mean, because they're not allowing you to go do something because you got to do something with them, or
so you're saying you need to accept that.
You have to accept that
and be happy to accept that,
and be happy to accept that, or don't have kids.
Right.
You know, you have to be all in with them.
You're just an all-in kind of guy, Dad.
Yeah,
I get it. I'm just like that.
Yeah, I mean, otherwise, why do it? Can't go swim in one arm, can you?
No, Dad. You wouldn't go very far.
No, you wouldn't. That's half-assed. You'd sink.
No, I think you got your whole ass. Just one arm.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, thank you for chatting with me, Dad.
Yeah.
Thank you for...
So we didn't even talk about racing, did we?
Well, that's because I usually don't.
I know. You don't like talking about racing. That's what everybody says. What's Danica thinking? I don't know. She doesn't talk about racing.
I never have.
No.
I mean, there's like a download after a race for an hour or two sometimes, like after, but then that's it. Mm-hmm. But I think that explains why I'm, 37 and retired and doing other things, because while I loved racing, of course, I wouldn't do something for 27 years if I didn't love it.
And you were all in.
But of course, all in, for sure. Going to England and not going to prom and doing all these, they were never a problem. I was happy to do them. They were part of the program. They were part of the process.
So you're not much different than me.
So I'm not, but that was how, I just had a goal. And once I felt like the fun part and the goal was not realistic anymore, then I was like, well, I'm done. Mm-hmm. And I'm not attached to the
it gets back to the point where you can't find an answer. You don't keep pursuing it.
Yeah. So stop thinking deep, Danica.
Stop.
Is that your...
Or so deep. You can still think deep, but you got to choose what things to go after and try and understand.
Well, I think what I'm learning is that you actually live in the present just a little bit better maybe than a lot of people. You're not putting now look, you've had your moments. You're very yes, you're passionate, as we've and you get angry, and there are some unhealthy sort of personality traits and attachments that create a negative behavior, but in general, like, I think you just kind of live in the present pretty well.
Like I try and explain to people, everybody tries to figure out how they're going to fix the problem before they get into it.
Yeah.
Then when you get in the problem, it's different. You're screwed.
Yeah. Oh, and then you're thinking about the problem too.
So you wait till you get the problem, then you fix it, because it's kind of self-explanatory once you get into it.
Right. And you're wasting time.
And you're wasting
time.
Happens. If
it happens different.
It happens different. I can do this if it does this. Well, what if it doesn't do that? I don't know. You got to fix it anyway. So deal with the present. You can waste a lot of time trying to figure shit out beforehand.
I like it. Deal with the present.
I did that in business. Everybody didn't know how I was going to do something. I figured it out. Once you get into it, you figure it out.
Do you think that that's just because you believed that you would figure it out?
Yeah, absolutely.
Right. So in your heart, you knew it. You're like, I will figure anything out.
Pretty much everything gets figured out, don't it?
So do you think that people try and fix the problem before they happen out of fear? And then that they that they don't really believe it's going to go well?
Probably.
So believe in yourself and deal with the present.
And deal with the present. Pretty simple. It's like golf. Head down, swing easy. I struggle with both.
Simple, deep thoughts.
Simple, deep thoughts by Danica Patrick.
Simple, impactful thoughts. Not me. I'm not saying them. No, I'm over here talking about quantum physics. I'm way deep thinking over here. I'm overthinking, Dad.
Yeah, you're way overthinking. You get out there. I should be able to tell the story about your bowls over there that sing.
Oh, yeah, go ahead and make fun of me if you want. Go for it. It's okay.
It was last year. You were here and you had your bowls, and you were going through a podcast. And you said, "Look, Dad, the moon is fake." You see that blip in there in that video? Uh-huh. It's spliced together. I went, really?
I do question the moon's
okay. So let me finish the story. So
existence.
Then the next night, you come out of the bedroom carrying your singing bowls over there, and you're putting them outside. I'm going, what the hell are you doing? He said, well, it's a supermoon.
It's a supermoon. It was a big supermoon.
A supermoon. I got to recharge my bowls. I looked over and I said, I thought the moon was fake. I think you said, F you, Dad. That's what dads are for. Check and recheck.
Keeping it real.
Keeping it real.
Keeping it real. What do you think I'm going to do now that I'm, not racing anymore and taking some time to get bored? Like, where do you see me doing in 10 years?
This podcast thing, it kind of, when you were doing it, I'm thinking, it's kind of good for her because she asks a lot of stupid questions. Like stuff like you were talking about. There's no answer to that. There's no proof of it.
Okay. Yeah.
I mean, there's people who go on there and just start talking about just so they can be relevant. That's what I think.
So you think I'm just trying to be relevant?
No, I'm not thinking, but I'm thinking this will work for a while. Then you're going to go, I need to get my business going. You'll get a good clothing line going the way you want. Mm-hmm. And I think the winery I think you'll end up with another winery. Mm-hmm. Because one isn't enough to make money. So you make two of them, you make money. And
when you're not making money at one, double down, get another. No, it's
all about volume.
It's a low volume, high price point.
Yeah. So, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And then I see the clothing line picking up and
what about what I do every day, food and fitness?
I've been waiting for you to tell me you're going to do a Food Network show with healthy food. Mm-hmm. I think that would be big because nobody eats healthy.
Yeah.
I mean, you've preached it in my head, and even now when I go out to eat, I look at people and going, they can't eat that. It's going to kill them.
Good job.
I know, but it's like...
Eat for life.
Yes.
Like eat to live. Eat.
I think
you're either adding to your well-being or you're reducing it. It's one or the other with food.
I think that's one of your bigger messages, and to get with kids, because it all starts with kids.
Yeah,
for sure. Kids need to eat right to begin with. I never did.
Yeah.
So you never have that habit.
Yeah.
If you had a kids' Food Network or something... Yeah. When kids come home from school.
Yeah, well, the platforms are changing. It's not all TV. There's digital platforms. Yeah. There's all kinds of different
But I see you getting your message out there that way with your food because you're very smart at it and very passionate about it. Yeah. And it is right. I mean, people don't. So, I mean, it's a good message.
Yeah.
I think it's a better message than micro atoms or whatever the hell else you're talking about. My opinion.
Micro atoms or whatever with my daughter, Danica Patrick.
So I see that.
Yeah.
And then, do some cooking shows and you film those, 3 weeks.
What about my workout stuff?
There's so many workout things. They're all out there. I think that's too watered down. I think your niche will be your food.
Yeah.
And I've said it before, even with something with kids, because if you look at anything that the parents do, they'll spend any amount of money on their kids.
Yeah.
No matter what.
Yeah. So if a kid asks for broccoli, they're going, well, we're eating fucking broccoli tonight.
Exactly. So it's like, I think that's a better message than, because you're about the message more than you are the anything.
Well, yeah. I mean,
You're very influential because of, you've been successful.
And I'm very passionate about these things,
and you get passionate about it.
Yeah.
That's where I see you going from here.
Yeah.
Is that area.
Yeah. Yeah.
The cookbook, cookbooks are fine. I think they're great, but like I told you, I would rather see it on a video so somebody can put it on their phone.
Oh my gosh. Remember a few years ago, you bought me a GoPro and all kinds of apparatuses to film my cooking. You go, here you go. This is for you to film your cooking while you're doing it.
It had a headband with a GoPro you could put on it so you know how much you put in. It's right, you turn your phone on, you set it right there, and you go, okay, a little bit of this, a little bit of that, stop, get it. It's easier than reading it.
Yeah, you're definitely a movie guy, not a book guy. I know that.
But everybody, most people are visual than they are reading.
Yeah, the visual does help. Yeah, yes. You're always you're always on the leading edge of tech stuff. You're looking, you're checking it out. You've got your finger on the pulse. That was years ago, and obviously, food.
That was 3 or 4 years ago.
That was at least that, yeah. And I didn't do it. I stayed in the box, and I'm sorry about that, but it did.
No big deal.
Yeah, you have bought many tech items over the years that are very pointless in my life. But every now and again, there's one good one.
Every now and then.
Yeah.
So do you use that smooth for your
try.
videos?
It's a little difficult.
You can use it for the stand anyway.
I do. I use it for the stand.
There you go.
To be able to
it works
record
for the
workout
stand.
stuff.
There you
go.
go.
It does. It does give it a nice level balance.
Yeah. And I don't know if you'll have kids or not. I mean, think that's up to you. Think
Sure
that's
is.
up in the air.
Sure is.
Yeah, that's your call.
My body, my temple. Yeah.
And someday I hope you do.
Yeah. Well, it's one of those things I've spent my entire life making sure that I don't. That it's a weird concept for me, even. But Brooke's kids are so cool, and
Yeah.
I can see that being, but I see it being consuming, right? Because when you're ready to do it, you go all in, and then
That's what I worry about. I mean, you got to go all in with them, and your life is no longer yours.
But then there's interesting things that can happen from that too. When you have that much passion in a little person, you start looking. I would imagine being like entrepreneurial, like I am, like you, is that I'd probably find things that I feel like could be done better or made better, or something that would help the process be easier, whether it be through education, through products themselves,
Maybe
or whatever
healthy baby food.
Whatever it is. But I can see there being like things like that I'd go, there's nothing in the market for this.
Exactly.
I'm going to fix it.
You're going to fix it. Exactly. Because you think that way.
Well, yeah, and you're talking about the well-being of, most important thing in the world. So,
yeah, they do become like the most important thing.
Yeah, I bet that was. Like we were like Brooke and I were your life. Like, did you feel like when we were gone that? And I think that happens to a lot of parents, right? Their identity gets wrapped up in their kids at times.
Yeah.
And was that something that you were like, well, now what do we do? Like, hey, Bev, what should we? Like,
me and Mom go through this all the time. It's like, have you talked to Danica? No. Have you? No. And she gets kind of down because she likes to just talk to you once a week, whatever.
Yeah.
Phone call, pick up the phone. And I look over and I say, she's 37 years old. Do you talk to your mom every week? Do you call your mom? No. Well, maybe you should. Yeah. So, I mean, it's,
deal with the present.
Deal with the present.
Look at you.
I mean, it's, You'll go through it too. I mean,
it's all about feelings, right? So I'm obviously making her feel like she's not important. But then when you flip the script and you go, hey, but are you calling your mom? And she says no. It's like, oh shit, I better check myself, right?
Yeah.
Like, why am I offended? Why am I mad at her when I'm really just like, when I'm doing the same thing, and it just comes down to feeling offended, and that's I do it too. Like, I get offended easily, and I'm trying to get better about it, but it's true. I mean, I get offended, and I'm probably one of the biggest things in with humans is that we get offended easily, because whether it's coming from someone else that's nothing of ours to deal with, that's projection, or whether it's our own insecurities and someone triggers us. But
I think that's just the way kids are now. I've talked to many parents, and 11 out of 10 parents will call their kids and they don't answer. If you send them a text, they'll answer.
11 out of 10 on
I
purpose.
did say 11 out of 10 on purpose.
Okay, I know you're a numbers guy.
I know. 11 out of 10 did.
And I'm not, so I'm like, eh.
And when they call, they won't answer. If you send them a text, they will. It takes so little time. Just pick the phone and say, hey, Mom, hey, Dad, how you doing?
Yeah, I think that you're right. It comes because I feel like you want to talk for, like, I feel like if I pick up the phone, I'm like, I need spare time. And a text is like, you can do other things while you're doing it. It's a multitasking sort of platform.
But you have your phone on you.
Yeah.
So if you're going, you pick up, hey, Mom and Dad, and even 1 minute. Say, how you doing?
I'll call you on the way to the gym. In Green Bay, it only takes 9 minutes to get from door to door.
You call me 7 minutes into it, so you only have 2 minutes. Okay, I just pulled. Hi, Dad, what are you doing? All right, I just pulled up. I got to go.
Well, now you know for accountability purposes, if I don't call you right away, we have less than 8 minutes.
Exactly. I'll ask you where you're at when you call.
If I'm on the highway.
And you're like that, and I'm like that. Brooke's like that. Brooke, as soon as Brooke gets in the car, she calls somebody.
That's you. You and her are like cut from the same cloth. Get in the car, talk on the phone. I get in the car and I'm like...
You know how much I listen to the radio? Every day, all day.
Oh.
I don't want to listen to the radio anymore. I know every song out there.
Podcasts. So much more interesting.
Yeah, but it seems like all the podcasts I listen to are really... The ones you sent me are just too deep. I'm too shallow.
Okay.
I'll walk out to knee deep, then you'll go straight down.
All right, we'll keep it simple, Dad.
Keep it simple.
Live in the now.
Live in the now. Keep it simple.
All right.
Life becomes easier. You won't lay awake at night going, of course, I do think about crazy shit like aliens are out there.
There are definitely aliens out there.
Yeah.
For anyone to think that we're the only people in the universe? I mean, really?
No, some of the shit that's out there built aliens.
We were, like, there was a great
Pyramids,
show.
come on.
Right. You used to say that when I was a kid. You were like, pyramids? Aliens built them. And I remember you saying that, and now that I'm older and I'm like curious about that stuff, I'm like, yeah. I mean, I just listened to a great podcast that Joe Rogan did with Graham Hancock, and it was about a lost civilization from sort of 11.5 to 12,500 years ago, and how maybe there was information from maybe back then they had more advanced technology than we even have now. And
see, I look at that and going, who in the hell knows?
Cataclysm and
a billion years ago went on. Nobody was there. There was no newspaper there. We're speculating.
Can't prove it necessarily. Although they are finding artifacts that are significantly older than we thought human existence was. So, yeah. Well, aliens.
Aliens.
They live at a different frequency. We can only see them when they come
And
to
that
our
could
frequency.
be. I'm not throwing that out there, but it's like they're out there. They're out there.
Yeah. Well,
You should do a podcast in Area 51.
51.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that I've heard that that's one of those places where you drive out there and you there's checkpoints before you even get close to where you're going.
And when you leave, you
can't
glow.
Very radioactive.
Who glows?
You glow, Dad. We all glow when we're happy.
Yeah.
So the other question. You and Mom agreeing to... Actually, this is a funny story. So from 0 to 10 years old, this was an agreement that you and Mom made. From 0 to 10 years old, Mom would be the final decision maker for us as kids.
Yep.
And then from 10 to 20, that was going to be you, Dad.
That's correct.
Okay, so is that why I got to go to England when I was 16?
Probably. I don't know if Mom would let you.
Really?
I don't know.
I mean, you probably had to check with Mom about your daughter not going to high school anymore and dropping out and moving to another country.
I get that same question. How could you do that? And I it's easy. You just go, how could I not? The opportunity was there, and that's what she wanted to do. That was your college.
Yeah.
There's nothing left here for you. It was the right thing to do. Would I have done it different? Yes, but it was the right thing to do.
Yeah.
I think.
What was it like when I was gone? Mom cried a lot, right?
Oh yeah, we all did. It was tough.
Yeah.
It was hard.
Like, what would make you cry? Just
sitting there,
really?
wondering what you're doing, and if something's not going right or going bad, and you can't be there.
Yeah.
When you can't be there for your kid, that's when it hurts the most. Because when they need you and you can't be there, that's hard.
What was I like before I left, and what was I like when I came back?
You were the happy-go-lucky kid. When you come back, you were just kind of jaded, hard.
Cold. I think you could describe me like being kind of cold.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Won't let anybody in.
Yeah.
Even if somebody loved you, you just kind of blew them off.
Turn the emotion switch off. Well,
Yep.
It was bad. It was
bad.
horrible.
It was horrible. I know it
freaking
was.
hated it. I mean, it was like every year was worse. And, it's cool and a novelty when you're 16 to leave high school and be like, see ya, you guys were crying as I'm like smiling and waving and running as fast as I could to the airplane. I was fine with it because it was an exciting new adventure for me. But, that wore off. The novelty wore off. And, you realize that you're alone and people are dicks and, they're not very nice to you. And
English don't like Americans, let alone an American girl in racing. It was a bad scenario.
yeah.
But I don't think you'd have been the person you were if you didn't do it. Do you?
Of course not. No, everything is part of the process. It's
Yeah.
part of the growth. So one of those lessons that I learned over there was not to trust everyone.
I tell kids that now. I said, you need to go over in England race or in Europe and race because the racing over here is too easy.
Well, I mean, look,
you were racing against the best of the best.
there was a lot of people from my era that continued on. in different forms of racing.
Yeah, like
for sure.
a lot of them.
A lot
Pretty
of them.
much
Like-
everybody you grew up
like a
racing
ton.
go-karts, a ton of them did.
I mean, they all made a job of it. So, but yeah, I mean, it's.
I think that was a lot of it.
Did you ever think about bringing me home, or like saying like that's it, or was it just like?
Well, when we ran out of money, we did.
Yeah.
You know, didn't have anything left. So I think
Were you looking at each other going?
we had $30,000 left in our bank account, and it's like that's about another month over there. We can't do it anymore because Brooke had to go to college. That was coming up.
Yeah.
You know, so it was time.
Well, you didn't. I mean, that was not necessarily you just telling me to come home, but it was kind of a cumulative decision.
It was what we had to do. You know, we couldn't do it anymore. You know, and at that point it was 1.7 ratio. So.
Oh yeah, with the money exchange.
With money exchange, so it was very expensive.
Yeah.
You know, it ain't so much the racing; it was living expense, everything.
Yeah. Well.
Phone bills, you know, all that little stuff. Living because you were living on your own.
I'm sorry,
then.
I wouldn't have bought so many clothes and CDs over there if I would have been.
Just to quit losing your CDs, you lost them all one time.
I did. I was like, I got to get my Britney Spears and my Christina Aguilera back.
Yeah. So.
And you replaced all my CDs.
Yep. Well, we knew you had to be happy, so we did whatever it did to make you happy.
That's an interesting topic about making your children happy. Like, Brooke and I could have very easily just been or become like the statistical spoiled kids where we didn't really do much. We just got by.
I'll disagree.
Really?
Because if you wouldn't have been good kids, you wouldn't have got spoiled.
Oh.
I can promise you that.
Okay. Well, that's good because we were super spoiled. So that means we were super good.
You were super good. You didn't do drugs. You didn't get in trouble.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. And we got good grades.
I mean, you respected us and you didn't talk back. And if it was different, it wouldn't happen. I can promise that.
I just thought you guys were totally soft.
You really think so?
Yeah, somewhat. No. Here and there.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, the end. You know, parents go to the ends of the earth for their children, and sometimes they're dicks and they don't deserve it.
How about the first time you were drinking? What happened?
Oh God.
Was I soft?
Yeah, no, I got in big trouble. I got grounded for a month.
And what did you have to go do?
I think I had to test my go-kart in the
rain.
sleeting, icing rain.
Yep.
My hands were numb
All day.
all day. Yeah, that's right. That's right.
You probably didn't know what a hangover was. You were in a go-kart all day. Just us out there. That was the only ones out
You just
there.
filled her up.
Change gloves. Here's some dry ones.
Yeah, that's right.
Was that soft?
Yeah, that's right. All right, Dad. Fair play. So, credit where credit's due. As a child, and I was a decent child.
You were a good kid.
Okay. Let's stop there.
Sounds good.
All right.
All right, love you.
Love you, Dad. Thanks.
All right, bye.